if you recall, we were actually talking to Rebel Tigers last night just before dinner. They said they have a secret weapon.
Ooh, I am very excited for secret weapons, but who knows, right? Will they bust out the first game? Will they bust out the second? Do they want to show off what they have right now?
Well, they wouldn't tell us what the secret weapon is, because then it wouldn't be a secret.
So, very secret weapon. So secret that even the casters don't know it.
Ooh, but look at the band.
All right, the Adagio band comes out. So after a fantastic showing from the first game of Media Pixel, the Adagio definitely coming out as a priority.
Yeah, so they saw what happened with the Adagio in lane, being able to just push out the other lane in the back and getting all that early game CS and buffing out their jungle carries. And with Koshka on the other side as being banned, what else can you expect? Like,
so isn't Arden coming out right now?
I hope so.
We'll see, we'll see. And
Boom.
it's, of course, the Arden comes out as expected. Do you think there'll be any special picks coming out from the side of SK though?
SK will probably try and prioritize either something really strong in the jungle early game or something that's very passive scaling. Knowing that there are players like Jetpacks, and especially Jetpacks in the jungle, playing a lot of Kroll, either Pedal, we can expect like a good range of like mid-game power spikes.
Most certainly, and okay. The Sky and the Catherine coming out. I'm liking this. Sky, though, is a little bit countered by Arden, but with the Catherine stunning up her targets, I think she'll be fine.
Is this where we see a Pedal?
I'm excited. So, Pedal, not exactly the greatest pick against Sky all the times, considering the forward barrage just completely melt her Munions. Though, being able to block that forward barrage could be pretty important.
I'd say melting money is better than melting your face, but Ringo Glaive, I don't really see anything secret about this one.
No, I don't really see anything in particular that's particularly secret, but, you know, Ringo fantastic against Sky. Sky's trying to dance around, trying to dodge skill shots, but, you know, Ringo, who needs skill shots, right?
Definitely. It's all about counterplay, too. So even though they did have a special plan coming into this, they have to be able to play around the Sky. Using her mobility and Catherine's stun it's a perfect setup in the jungle to be able to get that forward barrage on and do that massive damage early in game.
Most certainly SK Gaming. Let's see what their last pick is. They do come out with the Scarf, so this is a team comp we have seen in the VIPL. The Sky, the Scarf duo combo. Though that Catherine is a pretty good pick here too.
Do you think they're going to go both CP though, or maybe one of each?
I'm going to guess they're going to go double CP, but who knows, right? We haven't seen too much Weapon Sky coming out in any competitive matches, but this might be the game, though I would still expect the CP Sky to come out.
If I recall, though, the VIP game was double Crystal versus double Crystal.
That is true.
That's not going to be the case here unless unless Glaive somehow grew a Crystal spec that was very popular overnight.
Hey, it could happen that, you know, Arden could be the weapon carry, Glaive could be a weapon carry, and Chris. There
Could
might
that be the
Crystal
secret weapon?
Maybe it is. Ooh.
Didn't think of that.
Hey, it could work out, right? Arden goes in with the gauntlet, Glaive punts them through, they explode to Ringo. It's going to be fantastic.
Definitely. Like, it all comes down to synergy with the side of Rebel Tiger, like using their comps, using their skills to like pretty much play as one. If they're able to combo down their skills and abilities and just pretty much try and single out Sky first, they have a good chance before Scarf actually comes in and does that damage.
Right, and Forecourt Jester, do you expect this to be a Crystal Ringo or a Weapon Ringo? Because we do see the Glaive, and Glaive generally goes Weapon.
Yep. Well, as I said, unless he has that really popular Crystal build overnight, which, you know, at least in my notes I didn't see, I would definitely expect the Ringo to kind of go into the Crystal here just for that variety. But hey, if this ended up being a double weapon versus a double Crystal, I'd be totally happy with that.
For sure. Looks like we're hopping into the match. Take it away, guys.
All right, so as we are now heading on to the fold, is Rebel Tiger taking on SK Gaming. Game number 1 between these two. Rebel Tiger, of course, on the blue side, SK on the red, and that lane matchup will, of course, be the Ringo taking on the Scarf. Now, early signs point towards a weapon power Ringo.
Yep.
However, that we have seen people go with the first item just to make that early laning phase a little bit easier, and then switch it up after that. So we'll have to see if CJ Mantle is going to be going for that strategy, or if it is going to be that double weapon power composition.
CJ Mantle really impressing me with that stutter stepping right there. It's almost basically frame perfect. He's getting off these shots. And usually I'd see a Swift shooter early on. That way you can still go into a little bit more Crystal. You don't actually, you know, waste that that cash going into a little bit of weapon if you have no intention of weapon. But as I said, you know, right now it is looking actually really good for that double weapon. Would you believe that Jetpacks actually picked up Weapon Blade for the Sky?
I'm not too surprised by that, actually. Obviously, Crystal Power Sky is the one that is well known.
This is totally a Weapon Sky.
It's going to be Weapon Sky. And like I said, it's Crystal Power Sky is the one that's known as Mantle's going to get stunned up here in the lane. Not a whole lot much else going to follow up as the Spitfire doesn't hit. And instead, it's CJ Mantle making MYQ pay a bit for going that aggressive.
Yeah, that's the big thing with the Ringo. If you can't actually get him down, especially with that merciless pursuit, I mean, that's really the big one-trick pony here for Catherine. She needs to get close that distance to get the stun. If she doesn't, or there's no follow-up, CJ Mantle's just going to have a field day with those stutter steps, with those attacks. And again, like, he does actually have that weapon blade first, and Catherine, as you saw, just was not really able to kind of do that sticking power right there. Now, we do actually have a 3-man now setting up here into the bush, but of course, we do have that vision. So Scarf, he's going to be totally A-okay out of this one, but CJ Mantle just feels like he's really putting a lot of pressure here into this lane, but he's just trying to shove it so they can go off shopping.
Yeah, that's exactly what he's going to be doing here. And for those of you watching at home that may be thinking, hey, what's so bad about the red Sky build? It just got buffed. We are playing on a tournament realm server, so we are playing on 1.11. So those Sky buffs the red Sky buffs have not actually come out yet. For what these players are playing on.
Yeah, we can technically play Black Feather. Not that so far in 2 weekends we've actually seen one, but there's no Kestrel into this one. So the big maintenance that went on this week, introducing Kestrel, none of that is here. But we have actually progressed past the pumpkins that we saw in our last VGL qualifiers. So that definitely a fun into that. But this is our first time actually seeing a Weapon Sky in 2 sets of finals. NA, we did not see any close indication of this.
Yeah, every single Sky in North America was the straight Crystal Power. And again, I was expecting it here. I was expecting another Crystal Power because the damage you can put out early on with that forward barrage from the jungle is so powerful. But instead, we're going to have a skirmish here in the lane.
Oh, big damage on top of Legendaries, but he does get that Vanguard. Afterburn's out as well. Achilles shot from CJ Manto keeps MyQ a little bit more in range of those auto attacks, and he is actually starting to hit rather hard. But if you notice, CJ Manto, what did he go back and buy? Crystal bits. He picked up an energy battery, so it is actually going to be a little bit of a mix from both. Rip the dream. No double of anything here today. VIPL aside as well. But Rebel Tiger and SK, 3.5 minutes in now, about to hit that 4-minute mark. Still not a first blood.
Yeah, both teams playing very safe, although they are now moving around that middle of the map. But again, not going to actually be colliding with each other as mining does begin. But no one's going to make an aggressive early move onto either of the miners. So everyone just still playing fairly safe. There hasn't been much in terms of jungle invading.
Nope.
There's been a couple attempts of ganks at the lane, but it's always been answered. And right now, both teams just farming up, as that's a very early gold mine being taken.
We did talk to some of the teams, as I said, a little bit yesterday, and a whole lot of them did actually mention that they really do prefer to get that early gold mine. Not only is it the vision, but it's also a little bit of control. Any kind of big jungle fights, especially for people earlier on going off to item shops and getting ambushed, you can always rely on that gold miner as a last resort. Plus, again, you throw down a candy in it in 3 minutes, and you're going to almost guarantee yourself an immense gold payout.
Yeah, right now, looking at the lanes, I'm actually a little bit surprised that it is still even in terms of the CS because of the fact that there has been so much attention put up there that both of them have still been able to keep up their farming exceptionally well, as there looks like going to be another gank coming in. Legendaries gets a great afterburn back.
Yeah, but unfortunately it was just MyQ, and MyQ is able to use the Merciless Pursuit to kind of get to safety. Now, there wasn't a lot of damage that went back and forth, but again, like, this lane control does look very firm into CJ Mantle's possession at this point. Sky's off doing her own thing there in the jungle. But you did say, 49 to 50 for the Crepes. They are still neck and neck. The Scarf can really burn down a lot of those minions, especially if they're going to get pushed in again and again and again. They just kind of bunch up, you put down the goop, you put it on fire, and you just wreak some havoc upon them, and then you get that reward for it as well. This early on, though, notice that Waldemar has a reflex block.
Yeah, very early reflex block going to be trying to...
Next item. Yeah.
Going to be trying to prevent those afterburns from knocking him into the enemy team, or also to be able to just walk out of a gauntlet if it does get thrown down, which is going to be huge because Waldemar, with Scarf, a lot of it is about positioning, being able to stay on the back lines away from danger while still getting that Spitfire out and getting the damage on with the goop and, of course, the Fan the Flames heroic perk.
Now, neither of our roams right now actually have themselves those ultimates, but Legendary, he's going to come in. MyQ is going to be the big target, and yeah, as I said, do not have that legendary that those ultimates yet, but Legendary is able to now make that pick there on top of MyQ. That's going to be first blood to Rebel Tiger. And again, they already control this mid. They have their vision. They don't actually have really too much else to do here because the invade's just not going to work. We do actually have to respond to this laning Waldemar, who is now up 66 minions. But CJ Mantle, if he is actually picking up, oh my goodness, he has a Shattered Glass this early on. That is absolutely disgusting. But CJ Mantle, another big thing for the Reflex block is his Hellfire Brew.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's obviously if you block the Hellfire Brew, you're still going to be taking damage. But you're going to be taking a lot less because of the shield. You're also not going to be getting the dot damage on you. But in the lane, that is a very, very effective kill there from Jetpacks.
Yeah, Waldemar able to burn him down a little bit there with the Fan of the Flames, but Jetpacks coming in with that red build. Now, that's going to be a stun here from Legendaries, but it's a 3-on-1, even with Akuma there. Oh, the big Dragon Breath is just going to make sure that this goes the way of SK Gaming. That's going to be a gauntlet, but who's trapped in there with who? Akuma's still getting that Gold Miner now involved. The Gold Miner off to the side is actually going to go to Arden there for the kill. This is why you take control of that Gold Miner this early, especially with that minion candy. Akuma will actually live through that one and trade this out 1-for-1.
Yeah, and you got to figure if it wasn't for the minion candy, that would have been an ace and the gold mine being picked up by SK Gaming. But instead, we get shades of Lost by Toth in NA.
It's always
anyone
Arden
who watched those.
It is always Arden.
And this is why these European teams have so much emphasis on the Arden, because he can make plays just like that.
The Ardens right now actually is kind of like the worldwide superstar, and I think that's actually what the VIPL actually called him, the superstar, because every region puts such a heavy emphasis on this roam. We did actually just have a recent patch, but there's no sign of kind of like even a close number 2. It's always, always, always going to be an Arden if he's on the board.
Yeah, and it kind of goes down to, you have Catherine is the most steady. She's the most reliable. You know what you're going to get with the Catherine. Arden, however, is the playmaker when it comes to roaming. And that's why people like him, because when you are up in this top tier, the upper echelon of players, as a Death from Above goes out there, a little questionable. And now they are actually going to back off this gold mine, and we have a full-on fight. MYQ getting taken out of position there.
It is just not his day. Now we're actually going impressive, and that's 2 kills now to Akuma, 1 there to the Glaive, but immense gold payout. That's what they were waiting for, and that's exactly what SK Gaming was trying to stop. Unfortunately, they came just a little bit outside of the range of picking that one up. And I mean, that could have been a huge swing for them. But this round, it's going to be Rebel Tiger now up, just under 2K.
Yeah, so Rebel Tiger looking very good here in this early stages. Again, they don't have a huge lead, but you take any lead that you can get, especially in these European finals when every team really does seem to be so close to each other, as that's going to be a big afterburn. MYQ once again the target of this aggression.
Yeah, even with that Storm Shield, that's just not going to be enough. Way too little, too late. Even the Gauntlet going out just to make sure SK Gaming can't get into any kind of helpful range right there. MyQ is now down, 0-3 at this point. Yeah, he did actually go straight from the Stormguard banner into the Shiver Steel as his first 2 items, but it just doesn't seem to be enough to live through this.
Yeah, absolutely not. And great job by Rebel Tiger of recognizing that the Stormguard banner was picked up extremely early, so they put so much attention onto MYQ. He doesn't have the tankiness to survive in these fights, and Legendaries every single time is just jumping in and using that afterburn to hit MYQ back into their team, and it's been working.
Well, that is definitely one of the bigger strengths here of the Glaive players. I mean, not only in NA, but now here EU. Definitely a big priority pick for some of this. Now, Jetpacks, he's going to go forward, looks for the death from above, but we do get the stun there from MyQ, and Ringo nowhere to go, especially from the double stuns, and that will be another point on the board here for SK. They are still trying to bring this lead down, but with 3 of them in the lane, especially with the weapon-powered Jetpacks there, and Waldemar, they could actually go for that turret, but it looks like they're going to change up gears, and now it is their time to actually pick up that gold mine. I don't think there's a candy on it right now.
No, there isn't a candy on it, so they're going to be able to take this one pretty easily. A decent gold payout going into their pockets as well, and of course just having control of the gold miner for themselves finally, as now that's going to be the reflex block by Waldemar, perfectly timed to avoid getting hit by that aftershock, and the fight continues.
Yeah, that death from above just not going to be hitting Akuma, but you know, he is still a big target. This weapon damage Sky, through the wall with the Vanguard, but the Suri Strike. Jetpacks is out for blood on this one, and I don't think Akuma's going to get away, but Scarf into the back, gets hit from the 2v1, and they actually trade this out, actually even. Yeah, Rebel Tigers, Akuma was actually the big target. I'm not entirely too sure you should be focusing that Arden because he just seems to be nigh unkillable, but they lost Scarf on that.
Yeah, they did get that 1-for-1 trade, so not a whole lot going over in terms of that. Legendaries did just pick up his breaking point, though, to go along with the Tension Bow. Obviously, the Tension Bow picked up to be that big early game power spike, getting a lot of damage done. It does fall off extremely hard late because it is just flat damage, but now the breaking point is that late game item, is the item that scales up infinitely, essentially, based on how many attacks you get. And Glaive is one who's going to be getting quite a few attacks in these fights.
All right, we got that Warhorn now there for that Catherine, so a little bit more movement. We'll have to see if that's going to be a big factor. That was a heck of a hit right there on top of Mantle.
And Mantle going dropped very low, which does mean they have to play a little bit safe here. And we'll see if SK takes advantage of this fact, because they really should be pushing in, trying to get some damage on this turret, but they're still very much afraid of, they didn't know where Glaive was at the time. Now they obviously got a glimpse of him there. So they didn't know where Glaive was, and Ringo still has a ton of damage to put out if he can stay safe. So just playing a little bit more passive here, as they are just trying to scale up, letting this Sky, letting the Scarf get more items under the belt to the point where they can just melt through their opponents.
Well, Waldemar is just melting right through that creep wave. It doesn't seem to matter how far or how fast Rebel Tiger is able to push in those lanes. Waldemar is just able to take it right back. And it's just said, they seem almost like afraid to commit to a turret. It's going to be actually Rebel Tiger now looking for it. We do got that flare into the bush with Scout Trap off to the side. Gauntlet's going to go out, and that is going to be sealing the deal for that first structure. Legendaries goes right through the wall on top of Mikey, but Jetpacks to the side. He's a big target. He's trying to take down Mantle. The weapon build just doesn't work. Waldemar, however, is able to pick up their first kill, as MyQ is still a big target. We're looking for another after, and there it is. MyQ still low hit points, but now Goop and Waldemar is trying to take down the Glaive, and it looks like everybody is just going to split up. Would you believe that MyQ will live through all that?
Yeah, it somehow managed to stay alive, but it was more that Akuma let him go because they wanted to they made the call to go and take out these back camps, get more gold from it, which is the right call to make there. They weren't going to get the ace, and so as soon as they knew they weren't going to secure the ace, they back off. Instead of trying to chase the kill down, they just go and take gold. They get the back camps. They get the minion mine now stolen away as well, which it's always important when you do decide to start taking minion mines, you want to take your opponent's minion mine first, because that's the one that if you take your own, they can then decide to just take theirs relatively safely, whereas by taking theirs away, you're denying that huge chunk of gold. It farms up to about 200 gold payout for the minion mine for whoever does get the kill on it. And of course, with the Iron Guard contract buff, it does also get even more than that. So that's now denied from that side of the map. A great decision there from Rebel Tiger.
Yeah, for somebody that gets a Shattered Glass in and around the 4-minute mark with CJ Manto, I'm a little surprised that he actually doesn't have more kills to his name. But, with that Shattered Glass, he now also has that Piercing Shard. And still, I mean, throughout that, I think the bigger deal is now Sky. Sky has a breaking point.
Yeah, and it's almost a little interesting to me is they're actually going to have a big fight here around the gold mine.
Legendary. He goes back for that afterburn, but he has really paid for it right there. That's going to be a big gauntlet. Gets the stun on top of MyQ, but the Dragon's Breath, it's enough. That is going to be Glaive now going down, and we maintain control of that gold mine all the way up until the end, where that now Kraken is sitting. SK Gaming swings a lot of gold into their favor by picking up that kill and defending that gold mine for an immense gold payout.
Really surprising pick there. Akuma just got the contraption. When we haven't seen a contraption in the live finals yet, as this is actually going to be the Kraken being started here.
It's a great time to take it. I mean, they don't have legendaries. He's just about to spawn back out of this one. They don't really have anybody with that big chunk. Like, this would have to be a Hellfire Brew for a steal. And Akuma, well, he might be able to find it, but it's going to be way too late. Kraken right immediately after the back of that fight. This is the earliest Kraken I think we've seen in any finals.
Yeah, extremely early Kraken. They're going to be able to get some work done on it because it doesn't have that far to go to get to this turret. I'm a little iffy on the decision here because they can also kill this Kraken before it gets to the second turret because it has to stop so early in the lane. And if they only get one turret off of this, it's really not that much worth it. However, we'll have to see now with the turret getting destroyed if they can look for a fight.
Yeah, MyQ, he's really far forward. I'm just looking to see if he's going to throw down that silence in order to get these things going, but we need a lock on. We do have it there on top of Legendaries. Big fireballs and Spitfires coming out there from Waldemar. Death from above gets the stun on top of Legendaries. The forward barrage does bring him down low. Big Fire's Breath, just trying to keep Manto out, but Legendaries comes in, stuns it out. Waldemar not going to get a huge amount out of that one, but now Sky, he's going to Surrey Strike away from that Akuma. Gets the kill now on top of that Glaive, but at the same time, you said it. If they only get one turret, it's probably not going to be the best, and the Kraken goes down just before the second does drop.
Yeah, so they do manage to get 2 turrets off of it, which means the total gold swing is still in their favor. Not by a whole lot, but it also gives them plenty of map control. Now having both of those turrets down, they can start to take control of the entire jungle if they want to. It forces the side of Rebel Tiger to have to play a little bit more defensively now because they don't have the safety of those turrets to fall back to.
We pick up a Crucible from that fight there from MyQ, not only with the Shiver Steel and Warhorn, he just has all the activatables with the Crucible on top of it, but Eve of Harvest there from Waldemar as well. If you thought that he was having trouble a little bit earlier on, this should go a long way for his sustain.
Yeah, Waldemar also picked up an Eve of Harvest, so he's going to have a little bit better time staying alive in these fights as well with that lifesteal. As now we see SK Gaming, they're the ones actually having to play a little bit more defensively despite the fact that they just got those couple wins and they just got that pressure by taking down those turrets. It's still Rebel Tiger are the ones making the more aggressive moves.
And Rebel Tiger has actually maintained pretty much good control of the minion mines. They had double minion mines up against that Kraken. It did a little bit of extra work for them in that regard. But as you see here, SK Gaming, they've clawed themselves back into that lead, at least for the kills, if not the gold. But double infusions coming out for Waldemar and Jetpacks. I mean, this is a little bit of a window, but if they can get another good fight, there's not a Kraken to take for it. But if they can swing the gold now to their side, I mean, this is the comeback story for them.
Yeah, absolutely. The infusions are starting to come out as the fight is going to be happening.
I just don't know if the best target was MyQ. He just storm shields up, and look at the damage. The return is so immense. The Glaive goes immediately down. Akuma's just not going to live through this one, and SK with the collapse is able to take this. 3 kills, 4-0. They're going to get those regen buffs, and what was just a really kind of close game is about to break wide open here for SK.
Yeah, they should be able to get, at the very least, this 3rd turret in the lane. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to really push forward for too much more. Obviously, Scarf is going to destroy these turrets very quickly with the help of Sky. But they, as you mentioned, 15 seconds, they actually decide not to risk it. They do back off immediately.
So they're just waiting for cooldowns at this point. I mean,
cooldowns and Kraken. Kraken is going to be back up relatively soon. So I think that's what they're going to be waiting for. Is they want to just fight with this Kraken instead. I do like the decision because there is going to be the double turret was the next line of defenses, and trying to fight underneath the double turrets, not the best of ideas.
All right, so SK Gaming claw their way back into this 2,000 gold lead. They do take both of those minion mines as Scarf is able to solidify that second one. We did have, as a Crucible, the reflex blocks were there, as well as the double Aegis now, Waldemar and Jetpacks. I mean, this gauntlet is basically just going to be a null factor for a lot of SK Gaming. And even with that gauntlet, even there, you trap somebody, like if we get Akuma to trap somebody in there with him, I don't think that's still just going to work for Akuma at all.
Yeah, and again, another surprising Crystal Power lane build for me is CJ Mantle, no alternating current. These auto attack focused heavy carries that aren't building alternating current despite going for a Crystal Power build really has me a bit confused. It may just be a regional thing, but in my mind, if you're a hero that has such good auto attacks, you want to get the alternating current, as the fight was
that's costly.
Engaged upon, but nothing else coming off of it.
I'm not even sure I'd call that a fight. I mean, like Akuma and Legendaries, I mean, they were there. They threw out the Afterburn, they threw out the Gauntlet, but I mean, they didn't have a Ringo. I have no idea really what they were trying to accomplish right there. There's no way they were going to burst anyone down, and now down that cooldown. They have no gauntlet ready to go. The afterburn, I mean, will be fine. It's going to actually be a great stun there on top of jetpacks, but this is just not how you take this back out. The Dragon's Fire, just really, again, just not doing the work that it needs to. CJ Manta, however, is going to be burning to death by the end of it. Waldemar just absolutely destroying that Ringo, but at the same time, did not pick up that glaive. Akuma now is going to be running around. I don't think this is going to be the ace for SK Gaming, but it could be the Kraken by the end of it.
Yeah, definitely not going to be ace as Legendaries
really
got a little bit too far away, and Akuma is going to fall here, but Legendaries will be able to recall safely. However, as you mentioned, it is going to be the Kraken. I want to point out what they did at the start of that. When they caught Legendaries out with the stun, the goop went down, and then Waldemar waited. He didn't throw out a Spitfire right away. He sat back and just let the damage from his allies go through until the goop was about to wear off. Oh my goodness, Legendaries gets the steal.
Yeah, he's going to pay for it, but that is going to keep Rebel Tiger in the game just a little bit longer here.
Actually, we'll have to see, because that may not be the best of ideas. You know, obviously, it's going to save them from having the Kraken bearing down on their final 2 turrets, but this Kraken is getting melted so quickly here. It's not even going to get to this first turret, I don't think. It may get a hit or 2 onto it, but that's it. And that's 1,500 gold going over to SK Gaming.
I mean, you got to take the lesser of the 2 evils there, Bacon. It's either you give 1,500 gold away or you give the game away.
Yeah, well, there's no guarantee it would have been the game, but it almost certainly would have been.
Turrets right there, just with those ace buffed minions? I mean, they're about to fall over. You sneeze on them.
Yeah,
yeah, that would have been good.
I didn't see how much damage that those ace buff minions had actually gotten in on those turrets before, but looking at it now, yeah, those turrets are very, very low. So SK Gaming definitely in a commanding position, despite having the Kraken stolen away from them. A great play by Legendaries to get in there and steal it. Everyone thought he probably had gone back to base, and he stuck around and got himself in there for the steal.
This is a big thing with the glaive players. I mean, we saw this in the last round as well. A full team actually stopped even trying to capture the Kraken in order just to take down a glaive. Then they were able to pick it up from there. I mean, it's just the amount of front-loaded bursts that a glaive can do, especially when it comes to just eliminating that last little bit of the Kraken, has definitely been proven. I got to give it to Legendaries for that one. As I said, they are going to stay into this one. They're going to knock away the Waldemar. Definitely a better target right there, but so much damage is landing on top of this glaive, and now he's basically just going to burn it. Afterburn over the walls, keeping him up. The gauntlet, believe it or not, is actually going to be working out of this one. We do trade it out 1 for 1. My Q is there, and if he is able to take down this glaive, that would have been a heck of a story. But now it's Akuma trying to get as much damage as he can on top of Waldemar. But again, Legendaries is going to be the only survivor here. Kind of a big deal for this Scarf. He is sitting at 8-1-6. Waldemar right now is just definitely holding his own there with that Scarf, and this push is going to be deadly, if not the game.
Yeah, Legendaries has to make a miracle defense. It clears out all the minions right away. That's going to be huge, but it's still a couple of them did survive, and now Waldemar is just burning it down.
Oh my goodness, that's the ace, and that is going to be a tasty bacon. We still have 20 seconds until CJ Manta could even come back.
Yeah, he's not going to get back into this one. Waldemar just taking down these structures so quickly with the help of those ace buff minions, and SK Gaming are going to take game number 1 against Rebel Tiger.